ed as a suffix has three main pronunciations in English. And there are only three pronunciations when ed appears as a suffix at the end of a word. So this is when ed appears at the end of a word. This is not for the beginning of a word or for the middle of a word. So this concept does not apply in other situations. But when ed appears as a suffix at the end of a word, it only has three possible pronunciations. And here they are, the sound. Like a T sound. Id, like ID, id, and duh. Id, duh. The pronunciation is not ed. Ed is not how you pronounce this. Even though it is spelled ed, we never pronounce this ed. We say id sometimes, but not ed. So we have first the T sound. You make this sound by clicking your tongue. So let's see here. I won't record this part. The T sound comes after voiceless syllables that do not make your vocal box vibrate, but the duh sound comes after voiced syllables. A voiced syllable means that your voice box, your vocal box here is vibrating. And if you hold this part of your throat, your voice box, you can feel a vibration when you say yell, play, clean. So if you want to practice this, try to touch your voice box here and just say the part of the word that is in black. Yell. Just say yell, and when the LL comes out, you will feel a vibration right here. Yell, yell. So touch your voice box and try to do that, and you'll feel a vibration. Play like your phone, like your smartphone vibrates when you have it on vibrate, right? So yell, play, clean. So don't be afraid to feel this part because that is a voiced syllable. After a voiced syllable, you have duh. So let's see here, Mohammed. Can I hear you, Mohammed, say duh?
Duh.
Good. It's hard to hear you, but what you said is correct. That is a good pronunciation. Duh. Amel, are you there?
Yes.
Can you try to say duh? How about Perla? Amel, good, perfect. Duh. Perla, can you do this, Perla?
Da.
Yeah. Okay, so let's practice this one. So remember, you have a vibration here and then a duh. So the duh comes from just a little higher than the here. Yelled, right? That's why it's all in here for this D sound. Yelled, played, cleaned. Can I hear you say it, Paola?
Yes, sorry. Played, cleaned, and jailed.
Good. Excellent. Difficult. Id. Wanted, needed, invited. This comes after T and D sounds. it adds another syllable to the end of the word. Wanted, needed, invited, right? Looked, talked, missed. There is not an extra syllable for T or D sounds, but for id, there is an entire extra syllable on the end of the word. Wanted, needed, invited, and it's id, id. Perla, could I hear you say wanted, needed, invited?
Wanted, needed, invited.
Good. Okay, question number 3. Tell us a sport you played as a child. Any volunteers to answer this question? Does anybody want to answer a sport you played as a child? Anybody? Mohammed, let's hear you. Mohammed, what is a sport you played as a child?
Basically, karate as or
Can
I
you-
played.
Yeah. What I heard was correct. You pronounced played perfectly. Can you make a complete sentence for us? How about
Yes. I played karate too as a child.
good, excellent pronunciation. Let's get one more person. Amel, tell us a sport you played as a child. Did you?
Yeah, when I was young, I played basketball.
Wow, very good grammar and good pronunciation. We can practice these a little bit more at the end. Now I want to get to the reading article, and I think this will be a really good way to practice this pronunciation because the traditional methods are good, but they get a little boring after a while, and really you should not just study grammar or pronunciation by itself. You should put your concepts into context so that you can learn more effectively. So what we're going to do is I've got something I'm going to show you. I'm going to read it to you, and you're just going to listen and follow along. I want you to listen for these pronunciations because you will hear this ED pronunciation many, many times as I'm reading. Here are reading strategies. Paula had a good question before class about strategies to improve your reading or just how to improve your reading. So the most important thing about reading your strategy is don't stop reading the first time if you see a word you don't know. That means when you are reading something for the first time, don't stop reading if you see a word you don't understand. Skip the word and go back later. So your eyes should not stop moving the first time you read it. Your eyes should just move left to right, top to bottom until you're finished. Take note of words you don't understand. You can circle the word or highlight it. The first time you read, you just want to understand the general meaning. You want to get the main point of the article the first time. After you read the entire thing one time, you can go back and figure out vocabulary. But your brain can understand a lot. However, if you stop every time you see a word you don't know, you will not understand very much. So it's really important as a strategy that you don't stop reading when you see a word you don't understand. You can go back later and figure that out. So let's do this reading. I found this online by Andres. I think it was really, really interesting. So the topic is kind of a random topic. I chose, this is all on Google, and it's called 10 Things You Might Not Know About Vincent van Gogh. But it's a really good way of reading and of also hearing the pronunciation properly. So here we go. I'm going to read this to you. It's going to take 5 minutes. Just watch and listen. I'm going to ask you some general questions at the end, but also focus on the pronunciation as much as you can. So 10 things you might not know about Vincent van Gogh. Here we go. So listen for the pronunciation and also just try to understand as much as you can. Okay, from his inspirations to his bromances, discover some lesser known facts about this iconic post-impressionist painter. Born in Groot-Zundert, Netherlands, Vincent van Gogh is one of the most famous artists of all time. His sunflowers are iconic, his cut-off ear legendary, and yet during Van Gogh's lifetime, he was pretty much unknown and considered himself a failure. Today, Van Gogh's artworks sell for hundreds of millions of dollars, and he's a household name, but there are facts about his life and work that might still surprise you. He almost never became an artist at all. Imagine a world where we didn't have the sunflowers or the starry night. This world wasn't so far off. Originally, Van Gogh planned to be a pastor and worked as a lay preacher in Belgium. It was only on being sacked from this job that he decided his future lay in painting. Indeed, Van Gogh didn't start painting until he was 27 years old, and he never received any formal training. Inspirations from the East. Van Gogh had varied inspirations, including Dutch genre painting and the realist paintings of Millet and his contemporaries, but he was particularly influenced by Japanese woodblock prints. In some cases, he even made copies, albeit in his very expressive idiosyncratic style, of prints by Hiroshige Kasai-Eisen and others. A new work every 36 hours. Despite only working for 10 years, from the age of 27 up until his early demise at 37, Van Gogh was incredibly prolific. He produced more than 900 paintings and many more drawings and sketches, which works out at nearly a new artwork every 36 hours. Whew! A man of letters. As well as creating hundreds of artworks, Van Gogh wrote almost as many letters and postcards. These often included the first sketches of many of his most famous masterpieces. Romances. Van Gogh had several close relationships with other artists, including fellow painter Paul Gauguin. Van Gogh, Gauguin, and Émile Bernard planned to form a close-knit artist community in the south of France, where they intended to live and paint together. Instigated by Van Gogh, these three artists exchanged self-portraits. He was his own model. An unknown and impoverished artist, Van Gogh didn't have money to pay for models, so he painted himself instead. His other cost-saving tricks included painting over his artworks instead of buying new canvas. How many more masterpieces are we yet to find hidden under other paintings? A failure? When Van Gogh painted his most famous painting, The Starry Night, he didn't even think it was any good. In fact, Van Gogh considered himself and many of his paintings to be failures, and it's rumored he only ever sold one painting in his lifetime. If we only could go back in time and show him how well loved he would be over 150 years on. He cut off his own ear following an argument with Gauguin. It's well known that Van Gogh cut off his own ear in 1888, but do you know why? The circumstances in which Van Gogh cut off his ear are not exactly known, but many experts believe that it was following a furious row with fellow painter Paul Gauguin at the Yellow House in Arles. Some historians even believe that Gauguin cut off his friend's ear and that the pair conspired to blame it on Van Gogh so that Gauguin could escape the police. Afterwards, Van Gogh allegedly packaged up his removed ear and gave it to a prostitute in a nearby brothel. Tragically, he took his own life. Van Gogh suffered mental health issues for many years. In April 1889, he voluntarily admitted himself to the St. Paul de Moselle Psychiatric Hospital in Saint-Rémy, where he spent a year. It was from his window here that he created some of his most well-known paintings, including The Starry Night. And finally, after leaving the asylum, Van Gogh moved to Auvers, a village near Paris, to be closer to his brother Theo. But his mental health continued to deteriorate, and on July 29, 1890, he shot himself in the chest. He would die 2 days later. His last words to his brother were, "The sadness will last forever." An inspiration for centuries. Not only have Vincent van Gogh's artworks come to define post-impressionism and provided endless inspiration for artists, but his tragic life story has also captured the hearts of countless musicians, writers, and filmmakers too. Don McLean's 1971 hit song Vincent is inspired by Van Gogh's unique perspective on the world. He sings, "They did not listen, they did not know how, perhaps they'll listen now." Okay, so that was a lot. I hope you enjoyed listening. I hope you could hear the grammar and the pronunciation. I'm sorry if there are some connection issues. How did he die? The final of the 4 comprehension questions. How did he die? We know he painted himself a lot because he didn't have money to pay a model because he was so impoverished. Amel, can you tell us, Amel, how he died?
He shot himself in his chest.
He shot himself in the chest. Or a way to use the pronunciation, he committed suicide. Committed. Yeah, committed.
Yeah.
He committed suicide. So not only were we practicing reading, we were also practicing the pronunciation that we were focusing on. So it's a good way to put 2 skills together and to really practice more than one skill at the same time. Okay, so now that we did the reading in order to see the target vocabulary in context, and now that we talked about some of the general points, just the main ideas of the article, which one inspired you the most? Which one inspired you the most? And try to use this word inspired because that is the target of today's lesson. So who would like to volunteer to answer this question? How about, if you don't know, you can say you don't know because we just looked, but maybe Mel, of all of these paintings, I'll show you again which one inspired you the most, or maybe none of them. Paula, which one inspired you the most? Or did some of them not inspire you?
I inspired the last one. This one that you have passed before with two men in the garden. Well, it's a woman and a man. I think
Right
so.
here.
Yes, that one.
Yeah, I'm inspired by
It is
this.
better.
Good. So, just another way that you can say what you said. Let me pull up the whiteboard. Of course, inspired with the D sound. Inspired.
Inspired.
You can say like
Inspired.
you can say this painting inspired me, or I was inspired by this painting. Two ways. Pronunciation is the same. Inspired, I was inspired by it. So very good job. Excellent pronunciation. So this does include the slang from last week, right? If you were at last week's lesson, you can recognize bro means like your buddy or your friend. It's a term for men. And then it's a play on words, romance and bromance. So his bromance was with Paul Gauguin and Emile Bernard. Yes, great job, Perla. Thank you for bringing that up.
It's the same to the meaning of close-knit artist. Romance, it's kind of the same, or
Close-knit?
close-knit.
It just means that people know each other in this community. Everybody knows their neighbors. Everybody knows everybody in this little community, right? It's a small town, a small village. Everybody knows everybody. So close-knit just means that there is a close connection between the people who live in that community. Yeah. Good. So exactly, this is the reading strategy. Now at the end, you try to go back and pick out words and terms you didn't know. And even though you didn't know them, you probably understood most of the article. If you have any more vocabulary terms, you can ask it now. I'm just looking as well for things that could be difficult for you to understand. What was the name of this painting? Do you remember the name of this painting here? This one?
Oh, it was a stream or a stream something. Stream?
This one is called The Starry Night. There is a different painting called The Scream, but it was not painted by Vincent van Gogh. But anyways, guys, that's it for the lesson today.
Okay.
Go to Google, you type in the word and pronunciation, and this comes up with the word, the American pronunciation. Yes, the phonetic spelling, and then watch.
Worked.
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 I'm right.
Yes, not only can you hear it,
Worked.
Worked.
you can slow it down like this,
Worked.
Worked.
and then you can practice like this.
Okay.
Watch.
Worked.
Watch this. Work ed.
Okay. 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 Worked.
So look, you can also practice with
Worked.
Google. Now watch this.
Worked.
Worked.
Okay. Okay. Worked. Worked.
So if you see here, it's analyzing your speech, and it's telling you not only what you may have missed, but how to practice it. So please take advantage of this resource. It's really pretty incredible. And then you have other resources here to help you. So definitely take advantage of